Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are deviating from the usual Battlefield topic and talking about one of its potential competitors in the near future called Delta Force Hawk Ops. I have been asked to cover this game roughly, 30 gazillion times, and I don't really know why I haven't, but now I'm going to in this video. I'm going to give you my thoughts. I'm going to tell you guys about the game if you're not familiar with it, and we're essentially just going to go over what this has to offer. So without further ado, let's start looking at this stuff. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys so much that do that. And if you definitely want to see more content about Battlefield and Delta Force, turn the notification bell on. Everyone that does that, I will directly actually ship you a customized flower bouquet. So first and foremost, what is Delta Force Hawk Ops? Well, I have to be honest, I didn't really know until I looked it up before this video. Delta Force Hawk Ops is apparently resurrecting an older series and bringing the series into modernity, or at least attempting to, with this new Hawk Ops game. The reason this game has gotten a lot of attention recently is it looks a lot like Battlefield, and if you know anything about Battlefield and the current state of it, let's just say the Battlefield community is kind of fiending for anything good to play, or really any alternatives to Battlefield, and I have to be honest, it does look like Battlefield, but in a sort of Chinese knockoff sort of way, and that's not really an insult, because if anything, BattleBit taught us that the looks of a game don't really matter for it to be successful, or at the bare minimum, to gain notoriety. Most of the footage in the background is going to be pulled from trailers that I managed to find, but some of it is definitely real gameplay from the Chinese closed alpha playtest. And from the gameplay, I can gather that this is certainly a slower version of a combined arms Battlefield-esque game. It even calls itself a tactical shooter on its own website. So while I haven't gotten my hands on the game, I think a lot of the gameplay elements are going to be similar to Battlefield, but certainly a lot different. One of the things that certainly stands out to me is the difference in gunplay. You can see that they definitely went for a more quote-unquote realistic gunplay approach with how the recoil looks, with it being so shaky, and there's just a lot of stuff going on screen with all the smoke effects as well. Some of the game modes this game is going to feature include this game mode called Hazard Operations, which is apparently a game mode where you sort of steal things with your team and strategize a way to win. Then there's Havoc Warfare, which is quote-unquote the classic legacy mode from Delta Force, which features 100% accurate remakes of classic maps from the Delta Force series, and apparently, quote, original Delta Force combat revived, along with vehicle warfare and a, quote, immersive experience. So, again, leaning into the more realistic tactical elements. I'm sure they're going to try to immerse us just like Battlefield does, but hopefully in a different way, because I don't want to see a tornado in my Delta Force game. I'm looking at you, Battlefield 2042. And one of the last game modes they mentioned on their websites is a game mode called Black Hawk Down. It is apparently going to be a big city battle with Delta operators and a cinematic thrill. I have to be totally honest here, I'm not so keen on them heavily leaning into the realism aspects of this game, because that's not personally my cup of tea, but from the gameplay, to me, even though I haven't played the game, it doesn't seem like they're going to force you to play super slowly. Now, one thing I did want to cover, and this is going to be controversial and probably turn a lot of people off, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, it appears that Delta Force Hawk Ops is yet again another first-person shooter with selectable operators to play. And I have to be honest, this sort of just makes my brain hurt at this point. Can the freaking operator era, or whatever sort of slump we're in, just be over now for FPS games? How many times are we going to play these games like this? But complaining aside, these operators certainly seem to have some very interesting abilities. For instance, Direwolf, who is the assault operator. Apparently, assault operators just have default faster ADS and movement speed than any other classes. They can also use the AC-4 rocket launcher, and they have motorized exoskeletons and gadgets like the triple blaster hand grenade. And on top of the already increased movement speed for Direwolf, he also gets a trait that is his ability to tactically slide, or essentially just it gives him a movement option to slide. So Direwolf sounds like a crazy operator. There are 5 operators in the game, but I'm only going to cover 2 here. The other one I'm going to cover is Luna, and she is apparently the recon operator, and she has access to radio beacons, so they can place spawn beacons on the map, and she also has a bow and arrow, which is pretty awesome. She has a trait called Volt Arrow, which is an arrowhead that generates electrical currents, and you might be able to sort of set up electrical tripwires with it by shooting it in a wall, and there's like a line attached to it. That's pretty insane. So overall, even though they aren't very creative with the overall operator sort of game style, the operators themselves sound like they're going to be fairly creative in comparison to, let's say, Battlefield 2042 specialists. Moving on to some of the weapons that are available, you got light machine guns like the PKM, the M4A1, the RCX Spear, you got AS Val, the K15 submachine gun. So there's a lot of modern staples in here, and the customization of the attachments looks a lot like Call of Duty Gunsmith to me, because you have the ability to pick and switch and choose a bunch of different options for your grip and barrel and stock and optic and all sorts of stuff. So it looks like there's going to be a high degree of customizability on top of the crazy operators. In terms of how many different attachments you can equip per weapon, I'm not sure. Some seem to have more than others. And I don't really know how many attachments there are per slot or what they do. There doesn't seem to be much information on that right now, unfortunately. And the last thing I wanted to mention is the fact that this game is a combined arms game, which means, of course, it has vehicles. Now, from some of the gameplay and trailer snippets, you're going to see that the physics or just the way the vehicles look when they move around is not going to compare to Battlefield. It kind of looks a little staged, or I don't know how to stiff, if you will. But some of the vehicles available in the game are the LAVAA gun, the assault vehicle, which just appears to be a transport vehicle with some heavy armor, and of course you have the assault helicopter, which will be the equivalent to the attack helicopter from Battlefield games. So all in all, Delta Force definitely has piqued my interest. I'm going to definitely play any of the early access periods of this game just to give it a shot. I hope this video was informative for anyone that didn't know this game existed. My initial thoughts on this game is it's probably going to be quite different from Battlefield in terms of a lot of things that Battlefield players might expect. And to be completely honest, even from the gameplay, it does sort of scream that it's going to be janky, and I don't really know how to describe it other than it just looks like a knockoff of another game, even though it's like its own thing. Hopefully it's not janky, hopefully it's smooth in its own way and sort of has its own mechanical, unique feel, but I just sort of worry with these types of games. But maybe let's not judge a book by its cover and wait until the developers actually release a full finished build for us to play. And, I'll give you guys my thoughts on that. So if you enjoy the channel, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I stream on Twitch every single day at twitch.tv/enders. Drop my channel a follow. First link in the description. Of course, join the Discord. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. And I'll see you guys in the next one.